Hello, YouTube. I'm just waiting for my TikTok audience to turn up now, so just give it a second. I have to do the YouTube live first because it sometimes just won't go live, so I have to keep trying it. I don't know why that happens, but that's why I always set this up first, and then you have to sit there waiting for my TikTok audience. That's my big audience. Doing pretty good on YouTube though. Hi. You set. Sorry, I'm trying to read your handle. I can't. Anyway, while we're waiting for people to turn up, I'd love to know where you're from and how old your kids are. So where are you from and how old are your kids? So I'm just reading I get mostly regulars. I've had some new people come in. You get waves of new people coming in, but yeah, mostly regulars here. Okay, so where are you from? And how old are your kids? I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and my kids are 33 and 28. So I'm all finished. Hi, I am Billy Bob. A lot of my clients are from the South. And I start to talk like them after about 5 minutes. Very susceptible to a Southern accent. Okay, so you're from Ontario and your son is 12 months old yesterday. Oh, congratulations. Probably, well, crawling, could be walking. Some kids are walking yet. I think the youngest kid, if you look at it on YouTube, I think this kid was like 3 months or 5 months or something, like an unbelievable age to be walking. They were all bobble-headed, but they were actually walking. It was bizarre. 6 months, excellent. 10 months old, just started crawling. I think my son did the creep for a long time. My daughter sort of went up on her knees quicker. She sort of went there first, but my daughter did, what do they call that, creeping, where he used his elbows to drag his body around. It's fun to watch. So I'm just asking people while we're waiting for them to turn up where you're from and how old your kids are. Army crawl. Yeah, right, Army crawl. You're in Texas and your daughter is 2. Got to get to Texas one day. I don't know why. Texas is calling my name. I haven't been doing any traveling. I don't know why. Jersey turned 1 today. Congratulations. Hawaii and my son is 1. New York and 3. A lot of young ones. Alabama, 3-year-old. Okay. Well, I'm not answering questions quite yet, but I just think this is funny. Lillian, that was my mother's name. What do you suggest when you're trying to talk to your child and they run away? That's why they ran away. You're trying to talk to them. If you want to know more about that. Yeah, they don't want to hear what you have to say. That's why. Okay, so let's get going. If you go in the link above, you'll see everything I have to offer. You can buy my courses, hire me for coaching, or download my free behavior my free behavior board. It's a full course, but it's completely free, and that's all in the link above in the Bratbusters link. So anyway, let's get going with your parenting questions. What do your children do now? I don't discuss my adult children. It's my choice to be online, so I don't drag them in here. When I do talk about them, it's when they were little or young, usually. In coaching, a little bit more of that, but no, I don't. They don't choose to be on here, so yeah, I don't drag them on here. But yeah, they're 33 and 28, and I'm expecting my first granddaughter soon. Anyway, when my daughter got married, and my son's expecting his first child, which is a girl, so it's been a big year. Okay, Kosovo, 4 and 1. You've been here before, haven't you? Okay, 6-year-old with a sassy attitude or just bad attitude. I don't address attitude because it's just a tell. It means that they don't respect you. You got to work on your leadership skills. It's just a tell that means that that you're not a leader. That's all. That's all it is. So work on your leadership skills because we're not fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents here. So when you're a leader, they don't have a bad attitude towards you. They just don't. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. That's all I teach. I've got a link above if you want my help. Otherwise, just keep watching. What was I gonna? I teach leadership skills. I teach leadership parenting. I just made that up. I don't know what it means. I used to call it calm leadership, but that's only when you're disciplining. When you're not disciplining them, I was not calm at all. I'm very loud, very gregarious, very out there. So yeah, I was a leader though. But when I was disciplining, I got real quiet real fast. very calm. I whisper when I'm disciplining. So you have a totally different personality when you're disciplining. So that's the calm leadership. The rest of the time, I was just crazy. So, but the goal with leadership parenting is to make kids feel good about themselves, not about you, about themselves. When you're the source of that, their high self-esteem and them feeling proud of themselves, children who are acting out are not proud, and their self-esteem is in the toilet, guaranteed. If they're treating you like crap, their self-esteem is in the toilet. So my goal with parenting is always trying to make kids feel good about themselves. Kids who feel good about themselves feel good about you. They want to please you. And then when they're teenagers, they just don't want to disappoint you. It's win, 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 win. So, and then you don't even have to discipline them. Virginia, 1-year-old. Hello. But yes, we're trying to get help before the good times start rolling in. Australia, 10, 9, and 7. I raised my kids in Australia. Philadelphia, 2. Yeah, I didn't know how to, I had a hard time figuring out how to parent here in Canada. It's quite different. North America parents are quite different from Australian parents. And I raised my kids in Australia. So it was a bit of an adjustment period. Can we book a private session with you about our parenting? Absolutely. You just go up in the link above and it's in coaching. It's all done on Zoom. Doesn't matter where you live. I don't have any local parents. It's very rare that I get someone locally. Okay. Why is my 3-year-old being a bully? I don't know. I'd have to figure that out. So if you want my help, you'd have to hire me for that. I could figure out why they're a bully. And then how to deal with that. Toddler behaves at home perfectly, but not in school, 4 years old. I call that preschool. Toddler to me is under 3. 3 and 4 is preschool age to me. So the reason is at 3, they can start to reason. That's why at 3, the behavior board starts. My behavior board doesn't start under 3 because they don't really have the ability to stop and think before they act. But anyway, toddler behave perfectly, but not in school. So I don't know what's going on there. Usually it's the other way around because there's social pressure at school to behave. It's kind of embarrassing in front of their peers to act out. So I don't know what's going on there. Behaves at home perfectly, but not in school. Do you cater to your 4-year-old at home? Do they always get their own way? And then at school they don't? That's potentially why. I don't know. Could be it. But if you're a leader by that age, if they respect you, they tend to respect everybody. It's just the way it is. Louisiana, wow. Oh my goodness, 3 and then 8, 9, 10. Wow, 3 in a row like that. You must have been very busy. The 3-year-old must be a real joy now, like in that you've just got to focus on that 3-year-old in the younger years. Because if you had a 1, 2, and 3-year-old, that would have been very busy. How do you raise their self-esteem when disciplining? Disciplining to me is just guiding them to make good choices. That's all it is. There's no anger. There's no shame in that. Yeah, you messed up. Here's the consequence. Okay, you want to go to the park? It's kind of like that. There's no shame. It increases their self-esteem because they're proud of themselves. When they're good, they're proud of themselves. And when they're around, when they hear principals, teachers say to you, God, your kids are great. You must have been such a great job. They're such great kids. They're so proud of themselves, but all they ever hear is how wonderful they are. My son was in grade 2 and his teacher said, why are you so nice? And he said, Mommy makes us be nice. Darn right, that was my job. Ignore what? It's not always, but usually when being, what was your original question? What do I do about my I can't find your original one, sorry about that. What do I do about my 1-year-old hitting, punching, biting? Yeah, I have a course on that if you're interested. It's one of my mini toddler courses. It's toddlers who hit, bite, etc. Everything's in the link above if you're interested. How could I discipline the old? Okay, I don't know if you're doing continuation questions here. How could I discipline the older 3, ages 6, 8, 9? I have a whole course on how to set yourself up as a leader if you're interested. That's in the link above. Or if you want to go rogue, go on your own, use the behavior board. That's completely free. It's a full course. It teaches you how to use the behavior board. You're on there too, by the way. That's what makes it work. It's the very beginning of how to be a leader. The course just takes it to the next level. Coaching takes it to a whole other level. But that's, the course, if you're just dealing with normal average stuff, the course is very close to coaching. But if you've got really challenging stuff or teenage stuff, that's coaching. Because it's sort of more special stuff. Like, I have to assess your situation. But if it's just the normal stuff, your kids don't respect you, they're acting out, they're saying they hate you, the course could do it. That's for 3 to 12-year-olds. I was surprised how well people are doing with that course. It's amazingly close to coaching, unless you're dealing with sort of more, more difficult stuff. Hmm. Don't quite go. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read your question. Sometimes I don't understand. Sometimes it could be that English is your second language, and the wording, like here, my boy 7 is shouting and he talks loud. Okay. Teacher is complaining he is not loud and talk very quietly. So teacher is complaining he's not loud. So I don't quite understand that. A lot of my clients are from different parts of the world, and English is their second language, which I can't imagine talking more than one. I can barely handle one language. Anyway, so, and it's funny because whenever someone has a strong accent, I tend to yell when I'm coaching because I don't think they can hear me. A lot of them have corrected me. Lisa, we can hear you. But I tend to talk loud. I don't know why that is. Kind of embarrassing. I'm getting better. What's a good consequence for running away from teachers and me? How old? And if it's teachers, I don't know what you mean. Like how old? Okay, I need that course. My son lost his dad when he was 4. He respects his stepdad, but not me. He's almost 10. Yeah, a lot of that course is it's just you got to follow along in 5 weeks, right? But I think I have a section there on parenting styles and how to get on the same. I should look at that. Just let me write that down. I'm sure I do. I must get on the same parenting page in course. What I was going to say about that, though, is what is the stepdad doing? Have you watched him? Now, like, this is funny because a lot of people say, well, he gets respect, why don't I? And then I say, well, have you watched them and tried to do what they do? And they say, oh, no, I'm not like that. Well, like if what he's doing is working, why not copy what he's doing if he gets respect? So, check it out. But he might be doing the authority style. Authority style is based on fear, and it's a one-way street. It's you respect me because I'm your parent, but it's not. I teach leadership. It's a two-way street. Now, the authority parent is not a bad way to parent. It's not a train wreck like this pleaser parent style that's so trendy right now. That's a train wreck. But yeah, the authority style parent can get respect. The pleaser parent never does. And you raise self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. Mental health among young people is an epidemic right now. And I predicted that 30 years ago. I said, we're in trouble. When I saw those participation awards first start up, I thought we are in trouble. Like I remember saying that 30 years ago. I remember that. I said, oh, we're in trouble. Participation awards. What the HE double hockey sticks? I don't even know what to say about that. Like, you're just so wonderful. You just turn up and you get an award. Like, oh my, you don't have to earn anything. How entitled, oh my God. What to do if chores are not done? If they're 3 and above, use the behavior board and say, follow chore chart. And then on the chore chart, usually 3 chores are enough and make them fair and reasonable. And then say, follow chore chart. If they don't, then there's a consequence. I actually have it all in the course, in the behavior board course. There's just got to be a concept. Get organized, get systems in place. Use timers when you tell them to do something like a chore. Say, by the way, you got to make your bed before we go. It's got to be done in 10 minutes. And if they don't do it, like you got to be organized with this stuff. You got to have systems. You got to look like you know what you're doing. Yeah, he's more the authority parent and I'm more the pleaser parent. Yeah, that's why. In a family, there can be an authority and a pleaser. And the authority, the kids will always respect the authority, not the pleaser. The pleaser never gets respect. They just don't. And then I don't teach that. I teach leadership. I think leadership's one step above the authority because you're giving respect to get it. You don't just expect to get it. You give it too. And your kids don't rebel in the teen years. With the authority style parent, the kids will rebel in the teen years. But they both kind of come out pretty good. Like they both come out okay because they've had a leader. Right? Even the authority is a leader, but it's not a two-way street. It's more the authority, my way, the highway. I'm a leader. You give to get, but they don't rebel in the teen years. So you kind of sail right through the teen years and they come out good. The pleaser parent's a train wreck all the way through. They never respect you. They wipe their feet on you. And as adults, they're asking for money and, stuff like that. But anyway, There's never an authority and a leader in the same house, though. You won't find that. If there's an authority style parent and a leader in the same house, the authority will sees what the relationship the leader has with the kids, wants that, and will become a leader. Generally, that's what happens. You will not see a leader, which is what I am, and an authority in the same household. I've never seen it, because the authority will like the relationship the leader has with the kids. The leader's friends with the kids too, and you get respect. Okay. Okay. Why would a child act out at school but not at home? There's a couple of reasons for that. Usually it's the other way around, but at home they might be getting all their own way, potentially. So, and then at school they get some discipline, they don't like it. That could be it. Or there's something going on at school that there could be some social pressure, some bullying, something going on there that's causing it. I don't know. I would have to assess that specifically with each child. But that's often the reason is, yeah, well, mom lets me do it. Mom lets me do whatever I want. And then school teacher doesn't. So that could be it. Can you talk about raising newborns? You don't raise them, you just nurture them. Newborns are, I always say, the first 3 months are mom and baby happy and healthy. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. It's a big adjustment period, especially with that first child. With the second kid, they just are carted along everywhere. I remember with my first one, oh my God, we can't go out, he's sleeping. With my second, I had a 5-year-old going to school. I had to wake her up constantly, and all you do is you grab a nappy or a diaper. Sorry, I raised my kids in Australia. You grab a diaper, run out the door, like nothing's a big deal, but your first one is it's such a huge adjustment period. And yeah, mom and baby happy and healthy, that's it. Cuddle them when they cry, pick them up, just enjoy. And I don't believe that you can spoil a child with a baby with love. Every time my kids cried, I'd pick them up. Every single time. When my babies cried, I picked them up. You can't overlove a baby. It's a good start to give them, always being, because you want to meet their needs and manage their wants. Their needs are to be cuddled and nurtured and treasured and held, and that is their need. They just want to be held a lot. It's a natural need. My son was not cuddly at all. My daughter, God, she just lived up here. She wanted to be around me all the time. But my son still wanted to be picked up all the time, but he didn't want to be cuddled. But he loved to be picked up. So, okay. How do you get a 4-year-old to stop running in the street away in public? Well, there's no consequences for that. You take action with that. That's a safety thing. That's like saying my son won't get buckled up in the car. What do? You buckle him in. I would get a leash, a harness, or a restraint, and something where you put him on a leash, and he has to earn his freedom. So you go somewhere safe, and you don't have a harness on him though, and say, now don't run away. And then as soon as he runs away, clip him in and keep him clipped on that leash for the whole outing. And then the next time you go out, try it again. So he has to earn his freedom. He has to learn to be, safe, right? It's a life and death situation. Some parents have said to me, not very rarely will parents argue with me these days, but because I'm getting old now, they don't tend to argue with me as much. But anyway, yeah, when you get older, I don't know why, but anyway, and then they'll say, I'm not putting my kid on a leash. I said, do you want them flattened by a bus? Like, well, I'm not buckling them into a car seat either. Like, how stupid is that? It's life and death. So yeah. The only time my kids weren't runners. They either are runners or they're not. It's like tantrums. They either tantrum or they don't. They're kind of born that way. And same with climbing and hitting, being aggressive. Those are things they just have a natural tendency they're born to do. The only thing my kids did was my son had tantrums, but climbers and runners, they're dangerous, right? What was I going to say about that? Sugar. I can't remember. Anyway, never mind. Let's move on. My 5-year-old son said he doesn't know how to be good at school, says he's not smart, he's bad, etc. Yeah, that's just low self-esteem. It means you're not a leader. When you're a leader, they don't talk like that. Work on your leadership skills. You know what he's saying? I need a leader. I'm desperate. I need a leader. I'm lost. That's what he's saying. Children need, crave, and want leadership. It's a natural instinct. They need it. They crave it. They want it. So yeah, you work on your leadership skills. He wouldn't talk like that if he had a leader at home. There's no way. They just don't. They feel safe when they've got a leader. Their self-esteem skyrockets. They're just different kids when they've got a leader. They know who they are when they've got a leader. It's just the way it is. So work on your leadership skills. They're born with certain natures or personalities, but all of their behavior comes from you, all of it. And their behavior drives their self-esteem. How they act, what they say, what they do drives their self-esteem. If they make bad choices, self-esteem's in the toilet. If they make good choices, self-esteem skyrockets. That's all you. Their behavior's all on you. All of it. 100% of their behavior. At that age, 100% is on you. So work on your leadership skills. That's good news. It means you can change it. So I have a full course on how to get respect in 5 weeks. If you're interested, that would teach you how to do all this. Okay. My son gets really mad when I love this. Teenagers are my favorite age, by the way. He's a tween, but anyways, he's on the cusp of teen. My son gets really mad when told what to do or no, and I can't calm him down. He's 12 and bigger than me. That's a coaching issue. You'd have to hire me for that. That would be 5 sessions. So yeah, if you want my help, I could help you with that. But yeah, I deal with that all the time. Teenagers are my favorite age. How do you be a leader with a 1-year-old? Not so much. That doesn't really kick in until they're 3, and they can stop and think before they act. So the leadership really kicks in at 3, but they're kind of getting the hint. Like the reason I know this is my ex-husband was a pleaser and I was a leader, and the kids just were a little bit better with me. Like they just kind of knew when mom says something, it's going to happen. When mom means business, they love their dad, but he was the pleaser. We used to call him the treat master. He was the one that took them out for treats, and I didn't do that stuff. I was into health food, but that was his role. So, but anyway, they definitely kind of lean towards it. They can start to figure out when you say, you just follow through. Plus, you're also the one, you want to get down on their level and play with them in their world. You watch how they play and get down low. I used to lay on the ground flat out on my back, and my son would play. He'd put train tracks all over me, and he would run all of his trains over me, and I'd go, woo, woo, and my hair, and I'd lift my head, and that would be the tunnel. So I was very much into his world, and they just look at you differently. When you enter their world, they look at you differently. That's sort of the start of leadership. You're in their world. You understand. They kind of get that you understand them. You talk their language, that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Is it a really good sign? Is it really a sign of good parenting if your kid acts up at home but never at school? Well, no, not necessarily. Well, I don't know. I don't want to judge good or bad parenting. I'm not going to say that. But if they don't respect you, it just means that the teacher has respect and you don't. So is that good teaching? If they're not, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it just means that they respect the teacher and not you. So it just means that the teacher's a good leader, but you're not. So work on that. You can fix that. Anyone can learn this. Anyone. He struggled since he was 2, biting, hitting, getting kicked out of school. How old is he now? Brittany. If he's kicked out of school net, you'd have to hire me for that. That's that different level. If they're getting kicked out of school, that you'd have to hire me. That would be coaching. That's next level stuff. Unless he's little. If he's under 5, not necessarily. It might just be the course. But 5, grade 1 and up, if they're getting kicked out of school, that's coaching. Look in the link above if you want to hire me. Okay. 22-month-old hitting, biting, etc. I have a mini course on that. It's in the link above if you're interested. What's I going to say about that? I was just looking. I have all these notes, things that I say all the time. And I thought I had something on that, but I don't. I don't know why I thought I had something on that. But biting, hitting. Anyway, toddlers are all about consistent corrective action. They are not about words. Every single time they hit or bite or whatever, make sure that there's a consistent corrective action every single time. They will remember the one time you don't do it. They just do. Kids remember what you did wrong, not so much what you did right. I know my son's terrible for this. When he was getting older, like a teenager, remember the time you did that? He mentioned all my mistakes. And I said, what about all the stuff I did right? And you go, what? They remember all the mistakes he made. So yeah, you got to be consistent because they learn through repetition when they're little. Under the age of 3, there's no consequences for it. It's just, well, it's not on a board, right? You don't go to a board and say, here's the consequence for hitting. It's consistent corrective action. Just say no, remove him from the fun, remove the fun from him, and just ignore for a while or whatever. Anyway, check it out in the, I have a course on that. It's in the link above. What do you think about gentle parenting? I don't comment on that because I don't know much about it. I'm very careful. I stay in my lane. I don't study other parenting methods. Why would I? I'm kid taught. I don't learn from other adults. Why would I? I go right to the source. I worked with hundreds of kids and teenagers. So that was my school. So yeah, I don't comment on that. I don't know much about it. I'm very careful. I'm very careful. I don't know who else is out there. I don't know what they're talking about. Because if I say something negative about timeout or whatever, I don't know who's teaching it. I hate timeout. So every time I can criticize stuff because I don't know who's teaching it. I was invited more than once, actually a few times now, to be on a panel to discuss parenting with other parenting experts, like big shows. I won't say what it is, but big shows. And why would I do that? How horrendous. God, that would just be a nightmare to me. No, you're wrong. No, you're like, yeah. I wouldn't do it. It would be like getting out and arguing different religions or something. Like, it's okay. I have my own way and you can have your own way. And, I'm very respectful of you do you and I'll do me. And, yeah. I got nothing to prove. Always 5. He's in kindergarten. Really rough so far. Yeah, that's coaching. It's not easy. It's doable. I deal with this stuff all the time. How do you stop the fits? You don't. I just did a video yesterday, was it? Just let me check here. Check it out. I just did a video on don't try and avoid tantrums or something like that. Just let me look it up here. Just a sec. I want to find that one. Oh, yeah. I did it on Tuesday. So it was, sugar. Just a sec, Mike. Stop trying to avoid tantrums, scenes, etc. Every scene is an opportunity for you to exercise your leadership. Whenever I was looking after kids and they get mad because I'd say no to something, if I'm being fair and reasonable, I don't have a problem saying no at all. Say, no, you can't do that right now. And then they'd start to have a fit. I'm like, bring it on. Bring it on. Because that's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. Never, ever, ever be afraid of a scene. If you are, they're in charge and they know it. Boy, do they know it. Kid has a scene around me. They usually, if I was babysitting or looking after kids, they'd usually only have one with me because they'd learn, whatever. Doesn't bother me a bit. That's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. Doesn't bother me a bit. Oh, goodness. How can I know what my 15-year-old teen is doing on her phone without being too controlling? You're going to hate my answer. You will never know. You just have to trust her. You can't know. You can't micromanage a teenager. You cannot know. You just have to trust her 100%. Tell you a funny story. My son was 15. Well, I'll tell you a couple sort of stories about him. He was 14. And he was like, we were best buddies. We were like well, not girlfriends, but, we talked about everything. And he was like my best friend, buddies. And every single morning I'd say, morning, sweetie. And he'd go, morning, mom, with a crackling voice. And I'll never forget this. One day he was 15. He just turned 15. And I got up and I go, morning, sweetie. And he turned around with this look on his face and he goes, morning, mom. Oh, he turned into a man overnight. Just freaked me out. And all of a sudden, he didn't want to talk as much. He didn't want to gossip, like he turned into a man overnight. It was bizarre. Anyway, this is a funny story. He kind of was hanging out with a wilder crowd. He just was sort of he found them more exciting. And I kept saying, well, because I knew they were drinking and that. And I said, are you? And he goes, no, I'm not, Mom. I'm not. He says, they call me the straight arrow. So anyway, I thought, yeah, I'm not stupid. I used to mentor troubled teens. I'm not stupid. And he was getting more moody, like he was just changing, right? So I thought, and I always told my kids, I will never infringe upon your privacy unless I'm worried about your safety. I always said that. So anyway, while he's at school one day, I thought, he's got to be lying to me. He's so moody. And he wasn't moody before at all in his whole childhood. So, but he was a teenager now, right? So Anyway, he was at school, so I rifled through his room. I went through everything. I turned drawers upside down. I'm looking for drugs. Like, why is he so moody? I couldn't figure it out. Stupid me. Anyway, so I rifled through everything. He comes home. I'm passed out on his bed, covered in all of his room. His whole room was torn apart. And he opens up his bedroom door and he goes, "Well, aren't you a sight?" And he walked away laughing. So we laughed over that one. And that was great because I love cleaning and organizing. I got to clean and organize his whole room after that. But yeah, I strongly recommend that you just go with trust. And if you're really worried about her, you got to hire me for that, and we'll figure out if there's something going on. But yeah, you can't know what they're doing. And I think that they deserve to have some privacy. You can't know what they're doing all the time. But if you are worried, I think you're probably worried about something, or else you wouldn't ask that. I've been involved in some sting operations where girls were talking to what they thought were gorgeous young guys online who never did a live video with them. And there was one in particular, the guy ended up in jail. Well, it was 5 minutes into the first session, and I said to the mom, "Hang up and call the police. I'm going to call the police too." She told me something. I just knew this girl was going to take off, run away with this guy. I just knew. It was something the mom said. I can't remember what it was. Anyway, we phoned the police. They got a sting operation going. They got off the bus in another city, and it was a policewoman that got off and caught this guy. It was a fat, old, ugly guy. But the picture was this gourd like Justin Bieber lookalike, right? So yeah, if you're really worried, you'd have to hire me for that. But otherwise, you've got to just trust them. And the way that you do that is 2 skills with teenagers. The most important skills is you listen to understand and show empathy, and then you stop talking. Don't give advice. If you do, they're going to shut you out. They're not going to talk to you. So my kids told me everything. They just couldn't help it. I was a good place to land. I was a safe landing. So they told me everything. And then the number 2 one is negotiate everything. My son said, he was 15, and he goes, I can never rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. He sounded disappointed. So I said, fine, go clean your room. And he never did. Rebellion taken care of. But yeah, you got to build your relationship with them. That's all you've got. That's all you've got is your relationship with teenagers. It's all the power you have. You can take away devices and all that. They're still going to do what they're going to do. Your relationship is all you have with your teenagers. It's the only power you have. In the end, it's the only power you have. Oh, the advice you gave me last week worked. My toddler is finally eating meals again. Thank you so much. Farrah Lee, you're not a client, I don't think. So what advice did I give you? Get rid of all the junk food. Just have light snacks instead of heavy snacks. Toddlers generally don't need as much food as we think they do. And I always say, I don't give nutritional advice because I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor, but I always talk about what I did with my kids. I'm a real health food nut. And when my kids were growing up, I made everything from scratch. There was literally no junk food in the house. Like you never saw any. Oh, I made cookies and cakes and pizza. I made all that from scratch. And when I made a cake, it was full of healthy stuff. I remember my kids used to say, "Gee, cookies are so different out. Other people make cookies different. Well, they're full of sugar and they're not full of wheat germ and all the stuff I threw in there." So yeah, all my kids had the choice was with health. You can have this healthy food or that healthy food. There was no other option. When you have junk food in the house, your kids know that's an option. You're going to get so panicky because they haven't eaten all day. Here's some ice cream because at least I'm getting something into them. My kids wouldn't have got that. I would have held out for the broccoli. Here you go, broccoli, and they would eat because they know me. They knew that there was no ice cream in the freezer. Good for you. I had to remove all the snacks from the pantry, but it worked. Yeah. Good for you. And you did it. I can give advice out the wazoo, but if people never do it, nothing's ever going to work, right? So and here's what I do. And, you can listen to me forever, but if you're not going to do what I say, follow my advice, it's not going to work. I do this all the time in business. I write down stuff. Yes, that's great. That's great. And then I put it away and never do it. I do that all the time. And I know a lot of people do that with me in parenting too. And that I do it too. So it's really common. Eventually it starts to sink in, like in business stuff sinks in eventually. But yeah, I write, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And then I get home and I'm not going to do any of that. Is it possible to 2-year-old to have separation anxiety? Absolutely. Yeah. Babies can have it. 1-year-old starting to have tantrums? Yeah. I have a course on toddler tantrums if you're interested. It's one of my mini courses up above. But yeah, they're going to have tantrums. That's right. You don't interfere in that process. Do I really want to do that whole speech on why you always ignore a tantrum? Always, always, always ignore a tantrum. There's many, many reasons for it, but one in particular. And some of my clients are child psychologists, and they get it. And this is they say they don't actually learn that. It's not taught to them. But when I explain it, they say it actually makes sense. If you interfere in a child's tantrum and try and stop or appease it, or water it down, or calm them down, you are interfering in their brain wiring. Their brain is wiring a certain way. Their brain is learning how to have a tantrum, start, middle, end. When you ignore it, they do it on their own. It happens organically. As soon as you interfere, you interrupt that whole learning process. It's a process. They're building bridges in their brain, learning how to process a tantrum and stop having them because they're not working. They're not getting any attention. Tantrums just are for attention. They don't tend to have tantrums in a room by themselves. They only do it for attention. Once it's going, they can still have it by themselves, but they just don't have tantrums by themselves. Think about it. They only do it to get attention. So if you never feed it, it doesn't grow. They learn how to process it all by themselves. Do not interrupt that brain, the connections that they're building. Do not interrupt that. It doesn't make any sense at all to do that, ever. Yeah. I wish more people talked about that, because doesn't that make sense? I don't know why I know it's trendy to interrupt and do mini therapy sessions, discuss their big feelings, their big emotions, try and calm them down. All that garbage. It's just garbage. Frustrates the heck out of me. That's what I'm up against in my business. I have to fix all that damage that's done. What bothers me about it, I know it's trendy because it's feeding the mom. It's feeding the mom is what it's doing. What bothers me about it is that it's being taught, evidently, in universities and that. If you're going to be a child psychologist, it's taught to interrupt tantrums. And yeah, I don't know why. That's why I didn't become a child psychologist. They kicked me out. I asked too many questions. And all the other students started coming to me and asking me questions about kids. So it was making sense, right? Did you always want to be a mom? I was born to mother. I was absolutely the most maternal person I ever knew. I was mothering earthworms when I was 2. I mean, I probably killed them, but I'd take them inside, put them in a blanket, and they probably died. But I was always mothering, always, 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 always. And I started volunteering in daycare centers when I was 11 years old. Like, who does that? I was 11 years old, and all of the people who worked there kept asking me, "How do you get respect?" They want to be around you and they respect you. Yeah, I think I was kind of born to do this. And then I was mentoring troubled teens. I think I was about in my 30s, in my late 30s, and I was mentoring troubled teens. They told me to teach this. They said, "You have to teach this stuff, Lisa. No one talks to us like you do." And anyway, so I didn't think anything of it. There was no such job as this, right? So I didn't think anything of it. And then years later, I took what do they call it? A job, career counseling, $5,000, and it was 5 days, 8 hours a day. And it was intense. And they never asked about kids or anything. It was bizarre. It was just about intelligence and how your brain works, your problem solving, your people skills. That was all. They weren't even talking about kids or anything. You know what it came? And they said, it's really weird because we usually come out with 2 or more, usually more, ideal jobs for you. And they said 1, and it's a parenting expert. They didn't even have the word parenting coach. It all came down to parenting expert. Isn't that interesting? And so I could have saved myself $5,000 and just listened to those teenagers. But yeah, I think I was just meant to do this. I'm bad at a lot of things, but kids always made sense to me. I just always got it. I always knew how to get respect with kids. I liked them. I found them fascinating. And I was the babysitter that didn't watch TV. I played with the kids. And then the kids went right to bed when I said. And the kids would always ask for me again. So I think I knew how to meet their needs and manage their wants. That's what I really did. I knew how to give respect to get it. And that was fun. I like kids. Okay. Rebecca, Lisa, you've helped me so much. The calm leader mindset is a game changer. Yeah. I just need to stay as a leader, not a yeller. Yeah, the yelling. Most of my clients yell. It's very rare that I get someone who doesn't yell. Like if I'm talking to someone and they're brand new, a very first session, I'll say I'm doing the behavior board with them, and the first half hour is doing the behavior board. I learn a lot when we do that. The second half hour is how to make it work. Like because I go quite hard on that behavior board, and because if they fail, I know how to use that to our advantage. If you're doing that all by yourself without me in coaching, set yourself up to succeed, not to fail, because you don't want to have to try and recover from that. I know how to do that in coaching. But anyway, in coaching, I'll say, do you yell? Because it's almost always no yelling. So I'm ready to type down their rule, no yelling. Sometimes they'll say, no, we don't yell. I'm like, oh, I don't even know what to do with them. Yelling is so common. The reason is it works short term. It works in the moment. It's based on fear, and it does work temporarily, but it backfires down the road. You're building resentment in those kids. You're building it, and it'll come flying out big time down the road. So you already know all that, but I just teach what to do instead of yelling. And also, I hate it when parents come in with a lot of guilt and they want to talk about everything they did wrong. I'm like, yeah, so what? Let's move forward. Like, we don't want to talk about your mistakes. Like, I don't want to discuss that. What I mean is, it's like going to a diet center and you want to talk about how you gained weight. What's the point? Yeah, we all make mistakes. Big deal. We all mess up. Big deal. Let's move forward. I'm all about solutions. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I don't want to sit and talk about everything you did wrong. Why would I? I want to, let's focus on what we're going to do right. Wish you could meet my 14-year-old. Why would you want me to meet them? I don't work with kids. I work with parents. I do not work with kids at all. I used to. The reason is, sure, I can get respect. Then what are you going to do? Right? I teach parenting. So yeah, I teach you how to get respect. Oh, that's so cute. Oh, Monty and Gimli. Thank you for what you do. I've been watching your videos since I was pregnant. My son is now 1. I didn't realize. Yeah, I've been on here for about 1.5 years now. Oh, that's so cute. And some of my clients are now, their parents hired me to work with them, and now they're hiring me to work with their kids. I've been doing this for so long. Isn't that cute? Biting, I've got a course on that. Toddlers who bite and hit. It's a little mini course. It's up in the link above, and it's got everything in there about how to deal with biting. Sleepovers, yeah. I'm very careful with that. I think they should be at least probably 8. Now, this is a personal thing, by the way. If it's family, that's different. But if it's friends, I'll tell you, okay, I've been doing what I do for a long time. I've heard some horror stories about older siblings, cousins who come over who are older, and you don't know what's going on in that household. I really would need to know that family. And I was very careful with that. My kids didn't have a lot of sleepovers. And then they all wake up tired. They're like, yeah. I did a lot of that when I was young. I had a lot of sleepovers. I think it was more common back in the day. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. But yeah, my kids didn't do a lot of sleepovers. I didn't really see the point. Yeah, I don't really see the point in sleepovers. I mean, we had them the odd time, but everyone was tired. They were up and different food. And I don't know. It just like, what's the point? Most of the time they're sleeping anyway. So I don't have a problem with them staying up late and then going home. I would rather that. Parents pick them up. They have a late night. They're going to be watching movies and then they can go home because they don't tend to sleep anyway. But yeah, wasn't a huge fan. If my kids had wanted a lot of them, I would have probably let them, but they didn't ask. I mean, it was in Australia too when my kids were young. They grew up there. Just wasn't done a lot in Australia. What age to take in a plane again? I don't know what you mean about again. My son was 18 months old and we lived in Australia, and we came to Canada to visit my family here in Canada. I've since moved back. Anyway, I was there for about 20 years. and he was 18 months old, and we flew. So he's too big for that little bassinet in that seat. He's not big enough to sort of understand, what we're doing. It was like the worst age. And he was an easy kid overall. He had tantrums, but he didn't have tantrums. He didn't sleep for 24 hours. 24 hours, an 18-month-old, wide awake. And that was the only time I ever had him on a leash, because we had a stopover. They didn't used to go directly from Brisbane to Vancouver at the time. So we had a stopover in Hawaii, I think. And so we had him on a leash, and just in case we fell asleep, just hanging on. Oh, God, it was awful. So, yeah, good luck to you. Okay. You've made me a confident leader. Oh, good for you. God, I'd love to hear that. I'm ready to take on the toddler stage because of your lives. Toddler stage. That's my least favorite age. They're cute as a button, but all feet, no brains. They're just constant worry. I love them when they were home because I had a child-proof house. So I knew it was all safe. It's when you go out, you have to watch them. You can never relax when you go out with a toddler. And I went out a lot, so. My daughter has an issue with immediately telling me no to the simplest thing, and I don't know what to do. Work on your leadership skills. That's not her. It's not her fault. She's learned that. She's learned it works. So work on your leadership skills. I have a course up above if she's 3 or above, or if you want my help, you can hire me for coaching, or you can just check out my toddler courses. I got lots of help in that link above, or just keep watching. So yeah, she's learned. That's a learned behavior. She says no because it works. 3-year-old, well-behaved, polite, respectful, but demanding after daycare. How do I discipline this? Well, what do you mean by demanding? Why would you want to discipline? Okay. Okay. With kids, you meet their needs and manage their wants, right? So after daycare, they've been good all day, and then they get with you and they're completely relaxed and they can be themselves and they can just let me. I would probably go to a park and run around with them, just get that steam out of them, like, do something silly, do something really free, kind of free spirit kind of stuff. But yeah, if she's that moody and demanding after daycare, she's just been holding on all day and it just comes flying out. That's my gut reaction. How much are your courses if we were to hire you? Okay, coaching, it's all above. Coaching is in there. That's okay. So it starts the free behavior board. Then I've got the mini toddler courses. Then I've got the big course, 3 to 12-year-olds, and then coaching is the next level. So yeah, depends on what level of help you need or what's going on. So it's all in the link above. Everything. All of my website information is basically, we put it in bullet point form, and that's what the link is. It's all in bullet point form. Just makes it easier for you to see. It's easier than looking at my website, which I never look at. I should probably update it, but it's good information. But what's funny? Like the videos in there, my hair is this short. Well, now it's this long. My hair was that short. So I should probably update that, but whatever. I did take off my blogs though. I had thousands of blogs on my articles on my website because I used to do a lot of TV and that too. So I'd put all that stuff on my website and the radio and all that. And I went through that years ago. I went through that and I saw this old blog and it said, "Oh, this newfangled Facebook thing." I deleted the whole page. I just thought, when you've been doing something for so long, it gets dated, right? But people never change. Times change, but people never change. Your relationship with your child never changes, but what you're wearing and how you talk to it. But yeah, this newfangled Facebook thing. I don't know exactly what it was, but it just cracked me up. I thought, yeah, I'm dating myself here. 2-year-old won't stop pulling my hair. That might be the course. Toddlers who hit, etc. By the way, if your toddler is hitting during a tantrum, that's different than just basically aggressive toddlers who do aggressive things outside of a tantrum. They're 2 different courses because you treat them differently. Okay. What are your tips for fostering a positive brother, sister, sibling relationship? I just did a video yesterday. How to help my kids get along. I just did that yesterday. Basically, Um, I'll tell you what I did with my kids. I had one-on-one time with them, yes, but that wasn't much. Like I liked us, all three of us, to be together, doing stuff together. Usually doing silly stuff, and you always play to the youngest one. You always play to the weakest link. So do something that the youngest one can be just as good at. But mostly it was laughing at mom. It was stuff, we did a lot of crazy stuff, and it was laughing at me. Well, that's very bonding for siblings. When they laugh together, like at you, it's very bonding. Like just having fun together. Just that is the most bonding thing you could, that is fostering a wonderful relationship with them, because my kids are a boy and a girl 5 years apart. They didn't have a lot in common. So yeah, that's what we did. We did crazy stuff. Like we just had a blast. But yeah, a lot of laughing at me, a lot of that. So yeah, they had fun. That's how they bonded, was laughing at me. But yeah, this one-on-one, well, I don't know why they don't get along. If they're jealous, I do a lot of one-on-one time. That's your fault. That's what you're doing wrong, because it fosters resentment. It does not foster a good relationship with your kids at all. It does the exact opposite. You can do one-on-one time with each child, but that's only if they've got a healthy relationship. When kids have a fractured relationship, you do not do any one-on-one time with them at all. At all. It's all a group. And there's ways, if you want my help with that, you can hire me. There's ways of doing this. Yeah, it depends on the ages and what your home life's like and what you do, what your hobbies are. So, but there's lots of ways of setting this up so it works. You set it up to succeed, not to fail. Because they say, yeah, I tried that and all they did was kill each other. Yeah, there's ways of setting this up so it succeeds. Anyway, if you want my help, you can look in the link above. Okay. I was just going to say, what am I doing today? I'm doing tonight. After this, I do 3 videos a day right now. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. So every time you make a mistake or your kids make a mistake, it's an opportunity. I'll also be talking about, someone asked me about this on Instagram, I think, how to deal with lying 3 and 4-year-olds. I'll be doing that. So what else would you like me to do? I'm doing a video. I've got 3 videos to do. I haven't decided on I can always come up with something, but all I have to do is look at all the comments, and there's millions of ideas out there. Because I could come up with a whole bunch of stuff that I think you need to hear, but you don't always want to hear it, right? So that's why I go to the comments, because that's what you want to hear. So anyway, anything you'd like me to do in a video specifically? 3-year-old when discipline bites and scratches. Any tips when discipline? Are you using the behavior board? And I would put no hurting other people as the rule. So that would be the rule for your 3-year-old. No hurting other people. And there's a consequence. That's how they learn, through consequence. We all learn that way. That's why we pay rent. That's why we don't speed a lot. Because we know we might get a ticket and we'll get kicked out of our home, right? We pay taxes because we don't want to go to jail, because there's a consequence. If you don't teach your children that, how are they going to function in the world? It's a consequence. You do something wrong, or you don't do the right thing that you need to do, and there's a consequence. I don't know here. Why is 6-year-old slapping other kids if he don't see that at home? I have no idea. 6-year-old slapping other kids, doesn't see that at home. I don't know. Well, I would be looking into that. Are they doing that at school? I would definitely I'd be dealing with that one. That would go on the behavior board, but I'm not sure what's going on there. But generally, if they just don't get their own way at school and they're hitting other kids, then I would put on the behavior. I'm surprised they're almost not getting kicked out for that, because that's the kind of, can you imagine if you had a kid that was getting slapped at school? That kid, the slapper, often is kicked out of school because you have to protect the other children. So that can really become a problem. Anyway, I would put on the behavior board no hurting other people. So there'd be big consequences. And I would go into some, not public shaming, but some social pressure there too, and make sure that they make amends with that kid that they've hit. But you got to be careful with that, because you don't want to shame your child, but you want them to make amends. It's kind of tricky. If you want my help, you'd have to hire me for that one. But that can become a real problem. They're 6 years old and they're hitting other. It's not like they're 3 and they're doing it. The 6 years old, they're doing that. That can really become a problem down the road. Um, examples of consequences for a 3-year-old. I was just thinking maybe I'll do that as a video, actually. Anyway, I have a whole bunch of those ideas in my behavior board. That's free up above. It's a whole course, and it's up above in the link. But yeah, it's usually a chore. And then parents say, but they love doing chores. They're still doing a good deed. They don't have to absolutely hate what the consequence is. Sometimes, especially in coaching, I kind of like them to hate what they're doing as the consequence. But if you're just doing this on your own, don't get into that, because it's kind of hard to find that. And I don't always. I have to get creative with that. So I don't want to even give you examples of that, because it doesn't work for everybody. But yeah, you want them to hate the consequence. But if you're doing it on your own, the behavior board without me, if I'm not coaching, just look at it this way. They did something bad, now they're replacing it with a good deed, even if they enjoy doing the chore. It's usually a chore. Okay, Kate, I don't discuss my adult kids. I keep them out of this. And we all get along just fine. So yeah, I don't discuss my adult kids. Just because it's their life, I choose to be online. I don't pull them online. I talk about them when they were growing up and they were younger, but I don't discuss my adult kids. They're 33 and 28. If they want to talk about their lives and us and all that, then they can come on and do it. But I don't do that. I adore my kids. My son's expecting a little girl soon, my first grandchild, and my daughter just got married. Okay, Kristen, what's your question? Yeah, I'm excited about having a grandchild, and I knew I'd be this way. I was obsessed with becoming a mother. I needed to be a mother. And I always said, I never think about grandkids. I never did, and I still don't really. It's never been that important to me. I'll tell you why. Because you have to hand them back. I don't like renting cars, because I like my own stuff. Like this will be me in the hospital with my granddaughter. I'll be holding her, and then my son will say, "Can I please have my daughter?" And I'll be like, "No." Like, you have to hand them back. And I knew someone else who was like me, and she loved mothering as much as I did. I loved it. It was the most fun I ever had in my whole life, was mothering. It was a riot. I got all that pesky discipline. They were self-disciplining when they were tiny. And then I just sailed right through the teen years. There's the odd bump, but not many. And so she said the same thing. She goes, I love my grandchildren, but she goes, it's not the same, because you have to hand them back. They're not yours. They're someone else's kid. So anyway, I don't get me wrong. I will love my grandchildren, and I'm looking forward to it, but it's not the level of excitement as parenting for me, because I loved it that much. People say it's great. You get all the fun. You get to hand them back. I liked all the stuff. I liked everything about parenting. I don't want to hand them back. Okay, Kristen. Now, I always get on to her and never him, because the loudness is like a trigger for me. I don't know what to do. That sounds a little bit complicated. You might want to hire me for that. If you're being triggered by something and it sounds like it's really driving you crazy, you might want to hire me. Sometimes people will just take me out for a test drive with one session, then they'll upgrade. That's okay to do, because most people need 3 to 5 sessions. 5 with teenagers, 3 with younger children. But yeah, if you want to hire me, it might just take 1 session to figure out if you want to keep going. But if you're being triggered and it's a real problem, that might be coaching. That's all the link above if you're interested. Coaching is all done on Zoom. It doesn't matter where you live. I get kids on here sometimes. I never block anyone on here, because I figure usually negativity comes from misery and mental health issues. So I figure they've got to let it out somewhere. So what do I care, right? Oh, my 2-year-old screams at the top of lungs when not getting his way. What to do? I completely ignore that stuff. I would pretend like I don't even hear it. And then when they calm down, then I would give them attention. Then I'd say, oh, do you want, and I don't discuss the screaming. Where you put, what did I do? I did a video a while ago and I said, where you put, I don't remember what it was. One of my absolute best videos. I thought that one's going to go viral. No one looked at it. I think it got 20,000 views or something, but I thought it would go viral. I thought, oh, here's the next viral video because it was like my best video ever I just thought it was fantastic. No one even looked at it. I can't pick it. What was it? The more you talk about bad behavior, the more they're going to do it. The whole focus of that video was where you put your energy, where you put your focus is what grows. That's why if they're screaming, this is me, filing my nails, doing the dishes. When they stop screaming, you want to go read a book? And then if they start screaming again, I ignore again. It's a direct message. It's consistent corrective actions. That's what I'm doing. But yeah, wherever you put your energy grows. Wherever you put your focus with your children grows. If you're always focusing on the bad behavior, it will grow. The more you focus on the bad stuff, the more you discuss it, the more you have those mini therapy discussions about all their bad behavior, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Pretty much guaranteed. Pretty confident about that one. Because it becomes their identity. I address bad behavior. I'm not so much talking about screaming now, but if they're bad, like as they get 3 and over, when they need consequences, I address bad behavior, but then I instantly focus on the good kid. That pool story is the best story I ever tell because it has so many different levels in it. And that, so I'm just looking at something. Oh, every so often I get notice. No, I don't even know what's going on in TikTok. They'll send me like notifications. I don't even know if you can see it too, but anyway. I can't remember what I was saying now. Okay, I'm gonna have to get going soon. Yeah, it's an hour. I'm starting to get, my voice starts to go. I can feel it. I have to struggle to talk. So anyway, I got to get going. Can you have fun with the behavior board? My daughter asked me to swear so she could. Okay. Pool party. Can you have fun with the behavior board? Yeah, that's what it's all about, especially with teenagers. Yeah, you can have fun with the behavior board. I don't want to get into that too much now because there's so many examples I could tell you, but yeah, you can have fun with that thing for sure. Like it is supposed to be fun, especially the parents' consequences. That's where the fun is. So the parents' rule is no yelling. When you yell, make sure you make a mistake. Make sure you yell. Don't force it, but if you feel the yell coming on, let it fly because you want to make sure you're showing them that behavior board. You're on that too, and it works. So you yell, and then there's a consequence. The consequence is usually 10 minutes of doing whatever they want you to do, like playing in their world, doing whatever they want. So they're in charge for 10 minutes or something like that. So yeah, they love that stuff. Do you want me to tell the pool story? Because someone said pool party. That pool story is my, I'm going to tell it anyway because I made her bed and she loved it. Yeah, there you go. So that was your consequence, was you had to make her bed. Do I talk to my 3-year-old about her behavior in school? Oh, you address it. You were bad in school. Next time that happens, here's the consequence. Do you understand? That's all I would say. The therapy sessions are for you. And I know they're popular. They're taught by a lot of very highly qualified people out there. I get it. Because they learn that. They teach that in universities. I think it's garbage. Garbage. I focus on the good kid. They already know. They already know when they're bad. Yeah, that was bad. Next time you do that, here's the consequence. That's it. Should I tell you this story? I tell this story in coaching all the time. I don't tend to tell it here. I'll change it around a little bit. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to change it around a little bit. I used to mentor troubled teens, and they would sometimes do something outside of school or whatever that the police would be involved in. And then the police would talk to me as their mentor and tell me to talk to them about it. I don't do that. Here's what I do. Shoot, I hate talking about this because you usually got little kids, but it's the same idea here. I focus on the good kid, the bad behavior. This is how I deal with it. I'm very uncomfortable discussing this on a live for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, so they would the kid knew that I knew. The teenager knew the police had told me what they'd tried to do. So then the teenager would be defensive. And they were usually new with me when this happened. So I'd only worked with them for an hour a week, maybe. It was all volunteer, just as a mentor for troubled teens. So then they would sit down for our session and we'd be in the back of the classroom. I was just there to support the teacher in keeping this kid under control. That was my job. Not my job, just my volunteer thing. So anyway, they would sit down. They'd be all defensive about it. They thought I was going to talk to them about it. I don't do that. So I just started talking about everything else. Like everything's like we're buddies, right? Everything else. And then they'd say, well, I guess you heard what I did. So then I would go, yeah, I heard. And then I would look down and doodle. I wouldn't discuss it. I would look down and doodle. And then I'd wait till I could see them shifting in their chair. And then I'd look up again and say, so you want to get going on our lesson now? I would not discuss it. My disappointment for that 30 seconds while I'm doodling and ignoring them, that was all they could handle. They already know. They already know that they shouldn't. They were embarrassed because they liked me. They respected me. They were embarrassed. So why would I drag them through the mud and discuss that? I think it's mean. They already know it's bad. I focus on the good kid. I'm working my butt off to make them like themselves. I'm working my butt off to increase their self-esteem so they won't do that. And then eventually they stop doing stuff like that. But my focus was always making them feel good about themselves. That was always my focus. Not dragging them through the mud about what they did wrong. I do not focus on the bad stuff at all. At all. I treat it like, yeah, that was stupid. We all do dumb things. Here's the consequence. Let's move on. You're a great kid. Come on, does that make sense? Does that resonate here? Like, I didn't go into great detail about that, but I do not focus on the bad behavior. I focus on the good kid. I do not ignore the bad behavior, but I focus on the good kid because I want to make them like themselves. I want to increase their self-esteem. When you increase their self-esteem and they like themselves, boy, they respect you. They want to please you. They don't want to disappoint you. And their self-esteem is skyrocketing. That's the goal in this. Then you never have to do anything. They never do anything bad. That's the goal. Anyway, it's hard work, but it works. It works. Anyone can do this. I've worked with clients who were really, one mom said, she said, I'm so wishy-washy. I could never be consistent with anything. And I said, wait till you start to see the results. And she was one of my best clients ever. She started out really, I can't do that. And then she started to see how it worked. And she goes, I get it. And she just went for it. God, she was good at it. But yeah, anyone can learn how to do this. You want to raise your kids' self-esteem. You want to make them feel good about themselves. You want them to go toward the light, not the dark. If you focus on the dark, that's where they're going to go. So anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back again tomorrow. I just don't know what time. I don't regularly schedule any day except Tuesday and Saturday. It's all in the bio above. Anyway, if you look at the link above, you can hire me or buy one of my courses or download my free behavior board, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.